Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are once again talking about TikTok because TikTok bans are starting to increase worldwide, and so let's go through all the countries and companies that are banning them or at least considering it, and I think this is a very good thing. And so let me give you some backdrop on this because a week or two ago, I actually did a video or podcast on TikTok and the privacy disaster that people don't really know they have in their lives thanks to this app. With deep ties to the Chinese government, this app was reverse engineered and found to be collecting a ton of information on you and everybody else. What other apps you have, for example, it's copying out your phone's clipboard, it's turning your GPS on every 30 seconds, it's looking at all the devices in your home wireless network, and more. Now, it seems that the world is waking up to these issues with TikTok because banning the app has actually begun, although it's not always for the reason of privacy, sometimes politics. But regardless of that, I do find this to be a very good thing overall, as I think that this app should be gone from the face of the earth. So, with that, let's look at what's happening at the moment, and let's start with the countries that have already banned TikTok prior to these revelations. Now, Bangladesh is the first one that comes up, and their telecommunication and information technology minister, Mustafa Jabbar, announced in September of 2019 in a Facebook post on his verified account that they were killing TikTok. Now, they did this for censorship purposes, basically accusing the app of spreading adult content, and they obviously also shut down other adult content things as well. Indonesia did it for the same reason as Bangladesh in 2018, along with other sites, and Malaysia did this as well, again in line with Bangladesh's adult content filtering in 2019. And so here we are, and that brings us up to current, because the current controversies are here. And there's been a lot of things that have happened in the last week or two regarding this. And so let's start with India, because the Indian government banned nearly 60 Chinese mobile apps on Monday, June 29th, including TikTok, citing national security concerns after a deadly clash between India and China's military this past month raised tensions between the two countries. And so analysts are saying that basically they're banning this because it's political, not necessarily private, but the Indian government is coming out citing privacy concerns as well. Analysts are also saying that basically 1/3 of all TikTok global users are based in India, India being the second most populous country on the planet. That makes perfect sense. Now, while the Indian government, I think, is correct about the surveillance side of TikTok, and as I also mentioned in my last video, this is a surveillance app first and a video sharing app second. This move appears to be more political in nature, but regardless of that, I'm a fan. This app needs to go for all of the intrusive purposes I mentioned in my last video and at the start of here. Moving on, let's talk about Taiwan, because Taiwan is looking at banning TikTok and other Chinese video streaming apps like Tencent, which is a major player in mainland China. Taiwan's Deputy Minister for Mainland Affairs, Chiu Choi-cheng, clearly stated, and I quote, "If Tencent's streaming video service is trying to enter the Taiwanese market, it's very likely it's part of a Beijing propaganda campaign." Now, if you recall, Beijing was caught trying to interfere with Taiwan's last election, sowing misinformation, false information. Where does that sound familiar? And all of that. And so Taiwan is looking very closely at any mainland China-based organization that is creating an app, giving it to the Taiwanese people, and TikTok being a massive worldwide a very popular app, it would, needless to say, be part of Taiwan's culture, especially in the youth. So Taiwan banning this would help stem that misinformation campaign that China would absolutely sow on a TikTok. Moving on, let's talk about another sore thumb in China's side, and that would be Hong Kong. TikTok was pulled from Apple's App Store and the Google Play Store in Hong Kong, but it appears that the Chinese government actually did that. Now, here's what's going on. It was flagged earlier this week that it would be exiting Hong Kong, and I quote, "in light of recent events," referencing the new national security law that was passed at the end of June that I did a video on. This is a very draconian law where anybody that is caught, quote unquote, in sedition or treason in Hong Kong could potentially be put away for life. So if you're a dissident, that's a huge problem. TikTok might be fueling that, given that it's a surveillance app. That's an issue. Now, users in Hong Kong that have already downloaded prior to this ban can no longer use it, and those TikTok users in Hong Kong basically got the following message when they opened the app, and I quote, "Thank you for your time you've spent on TikTok and giving us the opportunity to bring a little bit of joy into your life. We regret to inform you we have discontinued operating TikTok in Hong Kong. Now, as I mentioned, it would appear that the Chinese government, thanks to this sedition law, is actually clamping down by cutting off Hong Kong's population to apps that could help them spread their message. Fortunately, though, I would say this has the added bonus of killing an intrusive spyware app in users' phones in Hong Kong, and the protesters still at the moment have the ability to use other platforms like Facebook, etc. to spread their word, and we'll see how far China's going to go to lock out their internet. But not having TikTok on your phone, again, if the Chinese government can't turn on your GPS every 30 seconds, they can't track you nearly as easily. Hopefully that's true. Moving on, let's talk about Australia, because the Aussie government is actually considering banning this as well. Several Australian legislators have expressed concern over privacy issues. I'm thrilled for that. And also the possibility of the Chinese government having access to users' data. Now, according to a report in the South China Morning Post, Australia's Liberal Senator Jim Molan has remarked that TikTok is being, quote-unquote, used and abused by the Chinese government. Labor Senator Jenny McAllister has reportedly demanded the app's representatives face a select committee on foreign interference through social media within the Australian government. And so they are starting to wake up to this fact that this is a massive telemetry gathering information on your general population for the Chinese government. That's what TikTok is. Video is completely second. So I'm hoping that the Australian government will do that ban. And next, we're going to go to the United States of America. Yes, the United States, where I am, we are soon to possibly on this list, be on this banned list as well. And here's what's going on. In an interview with Fox News that aired this past Monday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that users who download the apps are putting, and I quote, private information in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, President Trump cited a different reason for a potential TikTok ban, that he is punishing China for its response to the coronavirus. Now, when the president was asked about Pompeo's remarks on an interview with Gray Television, and I do not know that network, President Trump confirmed that the U.S. is considering a ban, and to quote the president, "It's a big business. Look what happened with China and with this virus. What they've done to this country and the entire world is disgraceful." It's also important to note that TikTok users en masse also during this time period pranked the president by spiking up requests for tickets for his Tulsa, Oklahoma rally, which only had 6,000 attendees in a 19,000 seat venue. TikTok users basically pushed these reservations to over 1 million tickets requested for this event, and the administration blames the poor attendance on that, though technically that's not true, and here's why. Now, President Trump's rallies are first come, first serve for seating, meaning no matter how high the ticket count got, it could be 10 million tickets, if people wanted to show up to the venue and get seats, they would have gotten in because it's first come, first serve. So if I am ticket 999,000 and I'm an hour late and the venue is full, too bad, I'm in the parking lot. And so nevertheless, here we are, and TikTok users took the blame. So some are seeing this move by President Trump as punitive on his part. But regardless of that reason, whatever that reason is, I think it's a good idea for everything that I've explained before. Now, there are also major companies concerned about this as well. And with that, let's talk about Wells Fargo, the financial giant, at least here in the United States, and I know they are global. Wells Fargo has instructed employees who install TikTok on company devices to remove the app over privacy concerns, and they said, and I quote, "We have identified a small number of Wells Fargo employees with corporate-owned devices who had installed the TikTok application on their device. Due to concerns about TikTok's privacy and security controls and practices, and because corporate-owned devices should be used for company business only, we have directed those employees to remove the app from their devices." Wells Fargo basically banning TikTok on company-issued devices. But it amazes me that they didn't actually lock this down via MDM or mobile device management in the first place, unless their IT was improving these installs, in which case shame on their IT, but I'm glad to see them at least retroactively doing this and excising a Chinese surveillance app from their mobile devices. And finally, the last one I want to talk about is Amazon, because this has actually been very interesting, and I'm wondering what's going on here. because Amazon has concerns over TikTok as well. This past Friday, literally yesterday, Amazon sent an employee to emails asking them to remove TikTok from their mobile devices that have Amazon email addresses. They later, though, rescinded that email saying that it was sent in error. The company clarified that there has been, and I quote, "no change to our policies right now with regard to TikTok." Now, that said, the fact that they are actually creating drafts of emails in this vein about the issues with TikTok, I think, is a very good thing. I can't imagine any corporation would want a surveillance app of this nature with ties to a foreign government that can only be described as at least competitive to the interests of all non-China-based governments and corporations on any of their mobile devices. And so hopefully Amazon will rescind the rescind and then just ban it outright, which I think is the safest thing to do. And also, on a final note here, if you're running this app in your business or in your personal life, or if your kids are using it, please remove it, or at least consider removing it for everything that I've mentioned here and in my previous video. The amount of information that is being collected and given to a foreign government, assuming you're not a Chinese citizen, they're getting access into your life. And that should give everybody pause, hopefully even Chinese citizens, when they are looking at this and possibly watching or listening to this as well. And so that is your TikTok update of the week. I'm glad to see that countries and companies are being proactive on this. And if you are using TikTok, please remove it right the hell now, because it is, again, a Chinese Communist Party surveillance app before it is a video sharing app, and that is something that everybody needs to pound into their head, especially when we are looking at downloading and vetting apps. I don't care how popular it is not worth the privacy that you are giving up, especially when it's identifying everything else you're doing outside of the app itself. That's a serious problem, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, everyone.